What up, y'all? In this video, I want to talk about why, I believe that a lot of men don't chase women anymore. And I believe that men and women are, I believe that men in the right conditions are meant to chase women. But in the current, modern world, at least in the West, it's starting to not really make sense anymore to chase a woman. And if there's any women watching this, like, I hope you can get something out of it. Um, so first up, I believe women don't chase men anymore, or men don't chase women anymore because in the past, women had a general respect for men and a general respect for masculinity, right? So as a man, your job was to prove that you were the right man. That was your job, right? Like like they already had, an idea of that they wanted a man, and all you have to do is prove that you're the right one. But I think today's women, it's like a losing battle. They don't really have respect for masculinity in general or a man in general, and now you somehow have to come in and prove that you're the right man, even though they don't respect men in general anyways. It's like the equivalent of, like, in the past, it was like, for example, let's say a woman says that, or somebody says that they like cakes, right? You know, and you're a baker. So your job is to find them the right cake, right? But imagine somebody says, I don't like cakes at all. And now you have to sell them a cake. It's hard, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's way harder to do that. So chasing a woman and these days is kind of like a losing battle, because if they don't really respect you masculinity, then now you're trying. And it's like, if they don't really have respect for masculinity, then they don't really have any criteria for you to prove to them. Like, a woman in the past would be like, okay, I need to know that he would be a good father. I need to know that he could take care of me well, treat me well, like, that he's safe, stuff like that. But I feel like with modern women, it's not as much critical thinking like that. It's just more emotional. Oh, did you feel the vibes? Oh yeah, we felt like soulmates. Oh yeah, he's a Capricorn. Oh, I'm a Aries. Like, so I feel like we might be together. Like, I feel like it's a lot of feeling off first impression, rather than critical thinking. Like, such as, would he be a good father? Is he a good person? Does he, you know, think well and think logically? There will be some critical thinking element to it as well, rather than just, okay, what the woman feels on the spot. So it would make sense for a man to pursue her over weeks and months so that she can get a good impression of him. And like I'm saying, she's already looking for a man, so he just has to prove that he's the right one, right? Another thing about women and men not really having respect for masculinity in general, it means that you now feel stupid for chasing a woman, right? In the past, if you were to chase a woman, let's say, you really wanted to be with her, and let's say that she finally just turns you down and gets mad at you or something like that, right? You don't leave that interaction feeling stupid, because you go back out into society, and society still has respect for you, right? But let's say in the modern society, you chase a woman, you ask her out twice, and she gets mad at you. Oh, why do you keep asking me out? Blah, 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 blah. You leave that interaction feeling dumb, because society already doesn't like you. Society already doesn't have respect for men. They're already saying, oh, we make too much money. Oh, F police, F the military, it's like they don't like, men who are actually masculine, right? They're already don't have respect for it. They already would rather deem us as a predator than a protector, right? So if you chase a woman and she turns you down hard, you leave just feeling stupid because society already is on the decline for respecting men. At least in the past, if you chased a woman and got turned down hella hard, you could leave and you know that men still respect you, or society still does. And even she would probably still respect you because you tried to be with her. I just briefly brought this up, but I want to say it again, is that in the past, I believe there was or women had fear of men, but they still had respect for men, right? So there wasn't a bitterness. It was just a fear. It was like I don't know you, that's why I'm scared of you. But it wasn't like I don't know you and therefore you're a predator and I hate you. You know, I feel like that's many modern women, like especially the more liberal women. So it's like in the past, yeah, there was a fear of men, because the woman knew that she had to be led, she had to give or allow the man to lead, and that's scary. And even modern women were all designed to be led by a man, like just on a biological level. But there was a fear of man, but that's not that offensive, you know? I'm okay if a woman's just gonna be afraid of me, that's fine, because I know that I can change that over time. But today, the women they're scared of men, but it's also a bitterness. I think in the past there wasn't a bitterness, it was just a fear of man because he didn't know who he was, right? So, and I've seen this in other women. I've seen it in other cultures, right? Like, I remember being in Korea and asking out women, and you could see that there's a fear, but it's not a bitterness, right? It's not a hatred towards men. It's simply just a fear, right? That's all it is. So you could work with that. You just got to keep talking to them, right? But I feel like with modern Western women, it's like they're scared and they're bitter and hateful. So no man wants to deal with that. Another reason I believe that men don't really chase women anymore is because there's no, in the past, I think there was no power games. It wasn't like, chase me so that I can think you're dumb and weak. But I feel like that's how many modern women are. It's like they want you to chase them, or they want you to like them, but then they think that you're weak and you're dumb and you're desperate for chasing them, right? But like in the past, I feel like maybe women would have maybe they might have purposely made it hard for you to chase them, and maybe it was a test just to see if you would continue trying. But at least there was a reward, right? At least there was a reward. If you can continue trying, you weren't seen as desperate. You were seen as the man who pushed through, right? You were seen as the man who pushed through and got the girl and got with her, because there was a prize waiting at the end for any man who could get through those tests, right? Her indifference. And you can see that, for example, in the movie The Notebook. If you watch The Notebook towards the even beginning, the woman, she kind of is cold to the man, but he pushes through, and there's a prize. She actually rewards him with a date or whatever because he pushed through. But I think today's women, they just think that you're desperate. They think that you can't read social cues, or that you're just weak or horny or something like that if you keep trying to pursue them. And I think that that's just a product of many things, but I think it is a product of them not. A lot of modern women don't really have a lot to be discovered about them, right? So like they think if you're pursuing them, it ain't really to like find out if they're a good marriage partner or not. They just think you're trying to have sex with them or something like that, right? And so yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's just a power game. And I think that this might largely be because women started competing with men in society. So women's way, when they become masculine and competitive, one of their ways is actually to go back to the feminine to compete with men. So they go back to their looks, right, to compete with men. Like, because any woman that's focused on the numbers, how many followers she can get, that's so masculine, because that's how men think. Men are like, okay, let me get my money up, let me get my status up. They're men are the one who are focusing on increasing the numbers, right? Like owning things and dominating. But women who try to get their follower count up, that's very masculine, right? So I think a lot of women or men don't want to chase women anymore because they know they're just going to get placed as another follower. They're just follower number 894 or whatever, like, because the more you chase a woman these days, the more you just become her fan. Because that's another thing, is that a lot of modern women, they want to carry themselves like celebrities rather than someone who needs to build a life with another man, right? Because in the past, it wasn't a popularity contest. It was about who could build the best life, right? Who could get the man she could build the best family with. But modern women, it's like the game never ends. Their follower counts go up and up and up and up. They're trying to build their follower count, build their fame, rather than build a household, build a family. So it's like, no wonder men don't want to chase, because that game never ends. Because you're just feeding into her ideology of wanting to be a celebrity, right? And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Or at the very least, even if a woman doesn't want to follow her account, I think a lot of them are still dang confused because they don't know what to do. Modern women weren't taught. They're taught so many different things, so many different ideologies, that they don't know what to do anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna call that being the past. Women in the past were relationship oriented, not attention oriented, right? So that attention that you give them was used practically. It wasn't just giving them attention so that they can feel good. It was giving them attention so that a relationship could start, right? And yeah, I think it's just largely the product of not having a good father, like women a lot of them don't have strict fathers, so they don't understand, like, okay, that popularity doesn't really matter. You gotta build something good. The other thing is that, many modern women don't need much from us. They already have a job to pay the bills. They already have, a place to live. Like, they already have a lot of those things, so they don't really need anything from us. So when we chase them, it's not really balanced. It's like they have their body, and that's what drives us to go for them, right? Sex. Like, that's what drives a man largely. But what they, how do I explain this? But they have everything they need. In the past, it was balanced, right? They needed us to pay the bills, and they needed our leadership, and they needed our, basically just masculinity. So they needed something from us, and we were driven to get something from them. We were driven sexually, right? Even though we wanted to be good fathers or whatever, that was a number one driving force. But there's nothing they really need from us anymore. At least they think that there's nothing they need. So when we pursue them, it's as if we're just begging. It's as if we're begging them. But, in the past, let's say we sexualized a woman, they call it whatever they call it, or we're really sexually attracted to a woman, well, she knew that she also needed something from us. So the trade was equal, not like making it totally transactional, but it made sense. But modern women, even if they're turned on by the idea of a man providing for them, they can